Up, everybody.
Booch. We playing Booch ball. Booch. We playing Booch ball.
Hello and welcome back to Booch Ball. I'm your host, Alex, joined by my lovely co-host, Freed. How you doing over there, Freed?
Tired. A little sad, but we're working on it. You know what? It's Booch Ball season. We'll be all right.
Tired of waiting for you to be good at football again. In 20 years, Freed.
I talk myself into it every season. And I re-talk myself into it every week. But it's official. The Miami Hurricanes are not going to be the ACC champions in 2023. We're not going to the playoffs. We're probably not even going to win 8 games.
That's what I said. Hey, I set the expectation at 7-5 at the beginning of the season, Freed. So yeah, Miami goes to North Carolina State as I predicted. Did not play well under the big bright lights of NC State. NC State's always an exciting atmosphere, I feel like, for a college football game.
Another primetime game. The viewers love us.
Another primetime ACC network matchup.
Hey, primetime. You know, like, I feel like about 20 out of 22 of the positions on the field are doing really well. Maybe even 21 out of 22. Everything's rocking and rolling. We just got to find ourselves a quarterback.
Yeah, we really. It appears Tyler Van Dyke is unfortunately not that guy. But
He's
is
not that guy,
a guy named Emery that guy who's a true freshman?
Hey, don't forget about number 11, Chikari. Been calling for it for weeks. Put in the Wildcat.
That's right.
At least for a package. Give me something.
I know. We're getting to the point where we're not going to burn his red shirt, right? So we might as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to play against Florida State after what happened last year with him.
They sent him out there as a true freshman against Clemson. So yeah. I don't see this as being any different. It can't possibly be worse than what we've seen. But you know what? We'll get into that a little bit later. And as you alluded to, it is, in fact, Florida State Hate Week here on the Booch Ball Show. And to celebrate in style, we brought in one of our very own Boochies from the other side, a real-life Florida State alumni and football supporter, my guy, Sean.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here, and hey, it'd only be right if it was Miami FSU weekend, right?
You said it. Thanks for joining.
Welcome to Booch Ball, the only podcast on the internet talking college football and kombucha. Yeah. Welcome, Sean. So you're a longtime listener, second time caller in, right?
Yeah. So me and the Freed did an interview. What was that, Freed? A couple years ago now?
Like 2019, 2020? What? 2020, right?
Maybe. I feel like it was like 2020.
Yeah,
maybe 2021. And
anyways, let's not get hung up on the years. So Sean, you guys did a baseball thing together, right?
Correct. Yep. And I think it's time to start talking some football.
Some football? What's your guys' relationship? What's your relationship to the Freed, as you put?
Yep. So I've known the Freed since 2015. When we were working together with the Marlins, and the friendship quickly transformed over sports talk, some FIFA back in the day. I don't even know. I'm still trying to get the feed to hop back on the sticks, but.
That's right. So back when we were working for the Marlins, Sean was he's still living up in basically the Jensen Beach area. So he used to pretty much sleep at the stadium throughout the entire homestand, because that's like an hour and a half drive sometimes home. So after our senior year, I still had the Don, my famous house from senior year that I shared with Peaches and Jazzo, our buddies, and had some open space. So I just told Sean, stop sleeping at the stadium, just come back to the crib. He'd sleep on the couch. We'd play FIFA. Good times.
Oh yeah. It was Nothing but good things to say about the Freed, Alex, but that's stating the obvious.
Yeah, say something I haven't heard before. What do you think of former Miami Marlins president David Sampson?
I mean, I don't want to get too far into the nit and gritty, but I think we all kind of have the same consensus opinion on him. A little outspoken, maybe some arrogance sprinkled in there, but
Sure. Maybe a
hey,
Napoleon
kept me
complex.
employed, and he didn't fire me, so I'll leave
That's
it at
good.
that.
According to him, he loves firing people. So that's as a listener of the Dan Lebitard show, he once went on the show to talk about how he took unbridled pleasure in firing those who deserved to be fired. So congratulations.
Say what you want to say.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Alex. Say what you want about the guy. He's not a dull person. It's always lively.
Sure.
And I know exactly what you're talking about with those interviews.
Well, very good. Well, you could say the same thing about the Freed and I here on Booch Ball. So, Sean, welcome to the show. We were talking a little bit off the pod that you really haven't maybe had a Booch in a little while. So I think it's time for us to move on to the very first segment of Booch Ball, as we all know, which is, of course, what we're drinking.
What we're drinking. Welcome to the chat, James.
Yes, we did miss you, James. So this is a fun little development. Jake watches every show.
And we love him. True Bucci. And so if you've been watching Miami Hurricanes football, you know that there's a certain quarterback who has that brownish, maybe some would call Auburn type hair. He's a man of my own nature, a pasty white gentleman.
You're saying he's a ginger Freed? Is that what you're trying to say?
Call him a ginger, and that ginger needs some help. So we got the ginger aid from GT's Synergy line. How about that?
Wow. That's an amazing connection, Freed. I didn't realize that you had that all. Did you have that all typed out?
It was up my sleeve. I had the ace in the hole. Sean's got a ginger aid there too on the black screen. Don't believe him, but Sean, I know you're a big Booch guy. You were telling me off air. It's been a minute. Tell us about your kombucha game.
Oh, I've been drinking kombucha for years, boys. I honestly don't think I've had one this year. So for the pod, I went and picked up was a couple for I was just going to get the ginger aid at Publix, and turned out they had a 2-for-1 deal.
2-for-1. You got to be kidding me. So you can
buy two, get one free.
So, buy
two, get one free.
Right.
Publix is sneaky with that buy two, get one free. I can't tell you how many times I brought two up to the counter. I was like, where's my free one? It's like, no.
Got it.
Buy
two
at that
for the
point,
price
you can't
of 3.
return it. You're all in.
Yeah.
You got to go get one more.
Or you got to run back scamper on back and get another one for you. All right.
But I cracked one open before, and just when you don't have one for a while, fellas, it's a little different.
It really does. It's a game changer. I've actually started getting into chugging them a little bit, Freed, after we had Cody Strickland on, who chugs a Booch every day. Mm-hmm. There is something nice about like just pounding a Booch. So sometimes I'll just like chug half of it.
I'm in complete agreement, Alex.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah, Sean used to do those 64-ounce bottles, right? He used to get the big boys.
Oh yeah, finished that in a matter of hours.
Yeah, it can. I can get through those. I don't know how how economical those are for me. So I feel like I just having access to it, I end up drinking it like over the course of the day. I'll have like 3 things worth of Booch.
You almost have to though, because you don't want it to go flat. You can't space it out over like a full week.
Yeah. That's fair. All right. Well, we're drinking what we're drinking today, boys. It's the GT's Ginger Aid. Hopefully, this will send some good juju towards either Tyler Van Dyke or his inevitable replacement. We'll see what happens. But, Free, this is one that we've had before on the show. One of the first ever Booches that we had. This is in our 4th season. We're going back and we're checking back in on some older legacy Booches to see if we gave them a fair shake the first time around.
Yeah. So that's right. This was our 3rd ever episode of Booch Ball. We gave it a 7.2, and we decided, looking back at the Booch Big Board currently, it's about a fringe top 25 Booch. So we'll have to update and see what's up.
And it's just straight, a lot of times with the ginger, you see like some lemon mixed in, or you see another kind of flavor. And this is just straight up gin. So Let's go ahead and get this thing going. Bottoms up, boys.
You know,
bubbly.
Right before Booch Ball, I was actually making a kind of Chinese-inspired chicken dish in the Instant Pot, and I was looking for the ginger. My lovely wife used the rest of our frozen ginger and didn't put it on the shopping list, so we didn't have ginger. I had to go heavy on the 5 spice, but this ginger ale is making up for it.
Okay, thank God. I'm sure your lovely wife won't make that mistake again. Right?
No
Yeah.
comment.
Anyways, this is the thing is with GT, and especially with this ginger ale flavor, I'm much less likely to buy this because of how much I love the GT's trilogy. Because the GT's trilogy really does hit the spot from every angle.
Yeah, that's why they bring all 3 of them in there, because they work together. That's the ginger, the lemon, and the raspberry. Gives you
all
that
3
zing.
facets of the game, really.
Yeah,
Just
the
like in
zing,
football.
the spice, and the sweet all in one. But this ginger ale is good all on its own too.
What are your thoughts, Sean?
And I was trying to think back who you all brought in. I believe it was a couple of years ago, and it may have been the ginger ale that you all drank at the time. But he made the statement, "I want to feel it. I want to feel like it's working." And the ginger ale, you can, with the antioxidants, and it just not the top of the charts, but it's up there for me.
It's a wellness beverage.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. But this is also like the GTs, like it is in that like Canada Dry kind of ginger ale vibe, which I think like puts me off into it. I think it like tricks my body, and my body's like, this is soda, right? And so I don't feel like I think there's something about the tartness of the lemon with these other ginger booches that like makes it feel more like medicine.
Particularly if you compare to, say, the Health Aid ginger lemon.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's solid. It's not knocking my socks off, but it's kind of what I've come to expect from this booch.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, enough about what we're drinking. How about we move on to the next segment of the show, Alex?
Which is, of course, what we're thinking.
What we're thinking.
Well, Freed, it's Miami, Florida State hate week, baby. It's rivalry week here at the Booch Ball Studios, and we've got 2 for +1 deal. What was it called again? Buy 2.
Buy 2, get 1.
Get
yes,
1 free.
I will take the blame there. I worded that incorrectly at first, but yes, buy 2, get 1 free.
You get 2 Miami fans, and you got a Florida State fan for free, folks. So, Sean, welcome to the podcast. Can you talk to us about your Florida State fandom and why you decided to do that with your life?
Yeah, so growing up, I was always more of an NFL guy, and came time to start applying for colleges, and went and visited Florida State one time and fell in love with it. I don't know if you guys have ever been, but it has that old traditional.
I'm not allowed back, but I've been.
It has that, Alex. It has that old traditional,
lots of bricks,
college feel to it. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And game day at FSU. I've never been to an SEC facility, but it's got to be up there.
Yeah, the Doak. Yeah, my cousin Connor went to Florida State, which bucked tradition from of our family, because my dad went to frat row was scarred by McGuire. Yeah, so my cousin Connor went to Florida State, which kind of like took everybody by surprise because our whole family were big Miami fans the whole time. But then all of a sudden Connor was at Florida State, and this was in the Jameis Winston era, I believe, right? I think his first year was 2013, and I think that's when Florida State won, right?
That was the national championship year. Yep.
Yeah.
And ironically, the last I graduated 2013, so I just unfortunately missed the spring of 13, so just missed the the
Okay.
national championship year. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think you were you undefeated against Miami in your college career? Do you recall a loss, or did Ja'Cory Harris get you anytime?
I remember Ja'Cory beating us my freshman year at Dover.
Freshman year, 2009.
Right.
Yes, sir. You got a good memory.
And that's the last time we won I remember watching the highlights of that on my high school library computer on ESPN.com. Just like watching Ja'Cory Harris throw to Travis Benjamin and being like, could we have the guy? And then it turned out we didn't.
It's the cycle that never ends.
I did when I knew I was going to go to Miami, we were down there for a game as part of like the tour experience. But I was like, I'd been to a bunch of Miami games before, so it like wasn't anything that new. But I remember we got in like late to the stadium, and we were just like walking by just like mountains of trash, just beer cans, just like more beer cans than you've ever seen in your entire life, just like a pillar amount of just awful trash. And I think that's like part of the shittiness of like having your tailgates in a stadium that's just surrounded by parking lot. Like you really do miss out on some of like the pageantry and the collegeness of it all, which, Florida State, say what you will about the place, but in Tallahassee in general and the Waffle Houses there, but boy, do they have a legit college experience on campus.
No doubt about it. And for those that have not been, definitely recommended, especially for a big game like this weekend.
You just have to be careful, and you have to know your fraternity's pledge, because I went. We have this thing called what is it called again? The Star and Crescent, Freed.
Yeah.
Because Freed and I had like joined, like we started a fraternity. We were founding fathers of a fraternity, so we never like pledged. I mean, didn't get hazed or anything like that. So I had a pretty like lax, pretty laissez-faire like view of the whole fraternity process. I was kind of like, let everybody in. I don't really doesn't really care. And I didn't really care very much about like nailing the like studying all the stuff. So I went to we went with my cousin Connor. He was bopping around to like his fraternity. I went to like my house with like a couple other people, and I kind of like got in at one point, and I was like looking for a beer, and like one of the guys who was like hanging around the cooler was like, and I was like in my Miami gear. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Who are you?" I was like, "Oh, yo, it's just Kappa Sigma, Miami, whatever, coming up." He's like, "Oh, Kappa Sigma, huh?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, what's the Star and Crescent then?" It's just like, and I just did the first line. I was like, the Star and Crescent shall not be worn by every man, motherfucker. Like, hell yeah. Like, tried to like kind of dap him up and get right past it. And he just goes, all right, what's the rest of it? And I was like, I could do the handshake if you want to do that.
Sounds like a bunch of Jeeds to me.
Yeah, so I didn't last very long at the Kappa Sigma tailgate event. And then later I got kicked out of my hotel room at the Sheridan 4 Points for trying to sneak into the on-campus pool after hours. It was all a big misunderstanding.
You're now.
In the end. But yeah, so we got kicked out of the hotel, and then when we were going back to me and a bunch of like couple friends like drove up together and then drove back down together. And then we went to a Waffle House, like so hungover from the night before, like to just like get food before we made our big drive back. And there was a table next to us of Miami fans, and we like kind of got to talk to them, talking about how terrible the game was. And then when we got to pay, went up to leave, they had paid our full bill. How about that?
Respect.
So those are
nice little memory from what year was this, Alex?
That would have been 2014 or 15. I think it might have been 2015.
No, was it after school?
No, it would have been 2014. It was senior year.
The game was our senior year FSU game was home, so it must have been 2013.
And it was junior year. Never mind.
Yeah.
Junior year, there was a lot going on with me in junior year, I think. But here I am.
Survived.
Maybe because I joined that fraternity. Should never have done that. Big mistake. Wait, so Sean, do you have any like great memories of the Florida State rivalry throughout your time? Like because unfortunately Florida State has been pretty far and away dominant in this relationship in recent history.
Yeah, you could definitely sense it in the air. Just the week leading up to, I remember walking around campus, getting ready to go to class, and walking by the football facility, and you see the Hurricane flag. You kind of get a little goosebumps, like, all right, it's Miami week, and then the Miami fans start showing up Thursday, Friday, and it's
What do you
Miami
think
and
of them?
Florida.
What do you think of Miami fans? What's the reputation from a Florida State perspective?
I would say cocky. I hope I don't offend you guys with that, but
You're not wrong.
confidence. I'm going to say cocky.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's about as light as you could have gone there. That was pretty inoffensive, I would say. I'd say Miami fans would probably like lean into
appreciate
that.
that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Freed, do you want to talk any of the X's and O's here?
Yeah. I mean, the game's going to come down to quarterbacks, right? Both teams have fairly good defenses. I think Miami actually probably has the edge there. It just depends on what sort of quarterback play. Sean, one thing I was actually curious about and was thinking about is, did you, because I know you knew Devin Travis, what's his face's older brother? Jordan, yeah. Jordan's older brother. Did you know of Jordan at all when you were in school? Ever hear about him as a football recruit? I know he didn't initially enroll at Florida State, but just kind of curious if you ever met a young Jordan Travis.
Funny you ask. Yeah, so I believe it was the ACC tournament, which would have been 2012. Jordan was probably 10, 11 at the time. I mean, you guys can do the math real quick, but you just see a little kid and you think, wow, it's one of the players' brothers. Say, nice to meet you, man. And I remember hearing about Jordan, and then I actually saw Devin a couple years ago when Jordan was at Louisville, and I asked him, how's he doing? And you kind of figure, he's not playing yet. He might be one of those guys that makes it to major Division I football and kind of fizzled out. But it's been impressive seeing the transformation he's made. I mean, I'm sure you all have seen it from his first year at Florida State to what it is now, especially the jump from 2021 to last year, 2022. It's night and day.
Yeah. There was a lot of talk that he was like going to leave like the program, or like that he was going to, or like at least like change positions or something like that at the start of this year, right?
I did hear that. Yeah, that maybe because he is an athlete. Maybe move over to wide receiver, and Norvell stuck with him, and it's paying off. And hey, it doesn't hurt to have a 6'4" and a 6'7" receiver. You just throw jump balls to, and one of which is probably going to be a first rounder. But
not so bad when you have a couple 23-year-olds passing the ball back and forth to each other.
Speaking of which, Sean, I do want to get back to QBs, but what do you know about the injuries to like we just mentioned, that's Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson? Do you think they're going to play this weekend?
Yeah, I think Johnny's going to play. I think that may have been more precautionary.
Yeah,
I was kind of blindsided when I saw Keon Coleman was out. I don't believe it's a long-term deal, and I think he is supposed to play this week, but you never know. I heard he was out maybe 30 minutes before the game last week. So
knowing absolutely nothing on my end, my first thought was, you know what, Pitt sucks. If there's any possibility that this could be a nagging thing, Norvell was probably just thinking, let them rest. We want them for Miami. And I figured them not playing last week almost assures that they're going to play this week. But, we'll see what happens. There have been rumors that it actually might be something serious. So I guess we'll have to see. But back to Jordan Travis, he was an easy target for Miami fans, Florida fans, kind of anybody anti-Florida State over the past few years, saying, he's not this, he's not that. He's no TBD. He's no NFL QB. Oh, we lost Sean there. We'll see if we get him back. But, it was easy to say Jordan's not an NFL quarterback. And it's probably still fair to say that he's not an NFL quarterback, but he does a really good job at playing the college game. He's super mobile, which is really what you need to be successful in college. And honestly, if he was playing QB for Miami, I think the Canes have at least 8 wins this season. So
yeah, well, isn't like kind of like comparison? Isn't it kind of like a Malik Rozier 2.0?
That's right.
Like a better version of Malik Rozier.
Yeah, I agree. He's equally as capable as a runner as Malik, and he's at this point just a better passer.
My apologies, fellas. I just got lost connection there. Hopefully, I didn't miss anything.
Welcome
No problem. We were actually complimenting your quarterback, and those are things that
by calling him Malik Rozier 2.0. High praise.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
One of our winningest quarterbacks ever, Malik Rozier.
Before we get off the QB topic, I wanted to add one more thing, since it was funny that you were talking about meeting the young Jordan Travis. I actually met a young Brad Kaya in the Marlins clubhouse the year before he went to Miami. He was his mom, of course, played Felicia in the movie Friday, and as Sean knows, the "Bye Felicia" was a very common saying around the Marlins clubhouse. So much so that somebody who knew her actually got her to come in and meet some of the players, and she brought in young Bradley, who was just committed to Miami and set to enroll in the next year. And at the time, I was like, I never heard of him.
Yeah, I did not know that, Reed. That was before my time. I did not. So you met the actual Felicia?
Yeah, met Felicia, met young Bradley. Yeah, I'll have to give you a little more details off mic.
Oh my goodness. That's interesting, Freed. Wow, what a nice little anecdote for us.
So, Alex, I was told you got a game for us.
Oh, I do, Freed. Like we always do here on Booch Ball. We always throw something in there just to shake things up a little bit. Keep people on their toes. You know what I mean? Right down to your bubbly toes. Am I right, Colby Calais?
I just had the bubbles going up my nose. Every time I get that little semi-burp, I get the effervescence in the nose.
Well, Colby Calais said that it starts at her toes and then it made her crinkle her nose. So, but bubbles do rise. So does shit. All right, boys. So we know that this is Miami, Florida State rivalry week. And one of the great things about college football is how many rivalries there are. So many rivalries, in fact, that it's kind of hard to keep track of them. So I have come up with a list of all of the biggest rivalries here. And in order to make my cut, these rivalries need to have, these teams need to have had at least 100 meetings. Okay. So I'm going to go through here. And I think the way that we're going to play this is that we're going to kind of go one at a time, allow you to answer. And then if the person doesn't answer, then it will go to the other person for a steal. How do you guys think about that?
Okay, I'm in.
It works for me. Yep.
Okay, let me go through. I'm going to keep a running tally of how many that you've gotten correct. So we have the Freed versus the Scene and Scene. All right, so let's do Sean, you're the guest here. Would you like to go first or second?
I would love to go first. Let's do it.
Okay, this one is at the way top of the list with the most meetings of any college football rivalry. What is the game? What two teams play for Paul Bunyan's axe?
Oh, I was going to go an Army Navy, but the Paul Bunyan axe is throwing me off.
Axe throwing.
Buzz me in for that steal, coach.
Sean, you can answer or you can pass.
I'm passing this one.
All right, Freed.
Minnesota, Wisconsin.
That is absolutely correct. And Freed off to an early
the oldest, lead. The most meetings, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. No Googling of this, by the way, outside of this. So we're gonna have to keep this in. That's right. The Paul Bunyan's axe. All right. Freed takes the win, and Freed maintains control of the board. So, Freed, the question for you is who plays in the Battle for the Bell? Battle for the Victory Bell.
I've heard of this. So this is another plus 100 rivalry game. Is this the second most played?
This is tied for the fourth most played.
I'm gonna have to pass. This is two big time teams though. So, but I don't know.
Pass. Go to you, Sean. Do you want to answer up top, or I will? After this, I will give a hint.
Let's get the hint.
Okay. These are. This is just going to be the first one to answer. These are. Freed, you were actually not right by saying that these were two big time teams. The other thing is these are two teams located in Ohio.
Is Ohio State one of them?
No.
Okay.
This is a tough one for me to pick. I think.
Oh,
Two
Are you
MAC
gonna answer?
teams?
I know one of them. I don't know the latter.
Which one of them? Which one?
It's got to be Cincinnati, correct?
That's correct.
Oh.
Reed, do you want to name the other one? I'm giving Sean a half a point. I'll give you one last hit. Miami played him this year.
Is it Miami of Ohio?
You sure you got it, Freed?
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you the point for that, though.
Good
Okay.
work, Ron. Hey, one of them kind of a big time team ish now. Power 5.
Yeah, Cincinnati. Yeah, sort of. Not really big time, though. Though they made some more playoffs recently than Miami has. Okay. Next up, we have. All right, I'm going to give this one over to you, Sean.
All right.
Who plays for the Secretary's Trophy?
Throw me through a loop here, Alex. Ooh,
I've not heard of this one.
the Secretary Trophy.
It has already been mentioned.
Is it too early to ask? I'll pass it over to the Freed.
It's already been mentioned on this very game that we've already been playing. Someone's already brought it up.
Army Navy?
That's correct, Freed.
Wow.
Army Navy play for the Secretary's Trophy. I can only imagine it's the Secretary of War. All right. Interesting, huh? These are some little known
Very
rivalries that
interesting.
are all
Yeah.
at the very top. All right. So these next two are kind of interesting. This is kind of like these are a two-parter. All right. Sean, I'm just gonna give it back to you until you get one right. Who plays in the game called the Deep South's Oldest Rivalry? The Deep South's oldest rivalry. First year, 1892. This is the second oldest meeting with the second most meetings of all time.
I think I know this one.
I am going to throw a shot in the dark, and I'm going to say Ole Miss and did I get the first part right?
No.
I was going Ole Miss too.
All right, you're both wrong. It's Auburn versus Georgia.
Mm.
Auburn versus Georgia in the Deep South oldest rivalry. And now this is the next oldest. The next one down. This is called just the South's oldest rivalry. And I don't think you'll ever guess the two teams.
Is it Power 5?
Uh-huh.
Is it a Mississippi State?
These are both ACC teams.
Oh, I thought you said SEC.
No.
Oh,
the
so
South's,
I'm going with Georgia Tech as one of them.
This is the South's oldest rivalry. Freed's out. Sean, care to hazard a guess at two ACC teams playing in the South's oldest rivalry?
North Carolina and
Virginia.
You're going to let Sean answer?
I'm going to say what Freed said. Let's
He's
go with it.
absolutely correct. Sean, you are on the board. Attaboy. Yes, that's
Appreciate
right.
the assist there, Freed.
The South's oldest rivalry. Who would have thought? North Carolina and Virginia playing in that one.
It's funny because I think of Virginia as the North, but yeah,
It's
whatever.
on the border. Yeah. When you hear South, your mind
Hey, they're all
automatically
North
goes
to us, right?
Mississippi, Arkansas.
That's
At least
right.
mine does.
I
Yeah.
sure love my mom and pa.
That's it. Attaboy, Freed. Edward Sharp and the Magnetic Zeros, which is almost as many points as Sean. All right, boys, for the last question of the quiz and for a winner takes all, who plays for the Platypus Trophy?
Oh, I know this one.
Freed?
Oregon
Freed.
State.
That's correct.
Beavers and Ducks, baby. Let's
The Beavers
go.
and Ducks. How clever is that?
How do you know that, Freed?
Yeah.
Because I've heard of it. It's a beaver plus a duck equals a platypus. That
Yeah.
one sticks with you.
I had never heard that before, but I can't believe I didn't know that. But now we all know that. And the trophy itself originated in 1959. And apparently this trophy has been stolen a number of times, dating back to the 60s.
Have they located any of the culprits yet, or?
Looks so, yeah. Following the 1961 game, the trophy was stolen several more times and was eventually forgotten as the football game's trophy. In 1986, artist Spady, now an art teacher in Eugene, spotted the trophy in a case at Oregon's Layton Pool.
No
It had
way.
apparently been reappropriated as a trophy for the school's water polo rivalry and was affixed to a black plaque commemorating 4 consecutive Oregon water polo victories. Spady was unable to convince anyone to reacquire the trophy for use in the football game. And in 2000, the pool and its trophy cases were demolished as part of a renovation project. How are you going to demolish the trophy cases with the trophies in them?
Unbelievable.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, it's a big time rivalry, Alex. As you remember from our recent Geography episode, those
That's
two
right.
schools separated by only 37 miles.
Yeah, the closest.
Third closest state in U.
No wonder they've played so many games against each other. It's so easy. It's logistically a piece of cake.
Could Uber.
All right, boys. That concludes Rival Freeds. Rival
McGuire.
Rival, yeah. Yep. That concludes the rivalry game. Well done, Friedrich. Way to take it out on our guest, Sean. Attaboy. No mercy. Well, folks, we've told you what we're drinking here on the Booch Ball podcast with our lovely guest, Sean, the Florida State fan. We're drinking the GT's Gingerade. Boys, quick stop here on the Boocha barometer. How are we feeling about this GT Gingerade?
I've been enjoying it.
I'm pretty much finished, fellas. I think that speaks for itself.
Well said. I can't personally vouch for that because you are not on video. Our only ever guest to not be on video, in fact.
Maybe
I think you should stick to your guns.
At the end.
Yeah, I want you to stick to your guns, honestly. You're just naked.
Sean looks so good, he would make us look bad. So stay black.
Yeah, Freed has said that. You are careful saying that on the radio, Freed. All right, boys. We've told you what we're drinking, what we're thinking. It's rivalry week. There's only one thing left to do, boys. It's time to tell them who we're picking.
Who we're picking.
Who
That was
are
a
we
big
picking
time
this
voice
week?
crack on the
Yeah,
tab.
I wasn't sure if that was on purpose or not.
Nope. All right. Well, we got a good slate today. Let's start it in the Big Ten. Michigan and the Fighting Connor Stallion frauds, 4.5-point favorites against Penn State. Who are you picking, Alex?
Well, I'm gonna ride them until they die, Freed. I got Michigan in this one, and support. Actually, the New York Marathon ran right by my apartment, and some people asked me to take a picture of them. They had a bunch of like Michigan gear on, and as I handed back to them their phone, and I was like, "Hey, no problem, guys. By the way, I think you guys are gonna beat the allegations." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah." But I'm not so sure they are. But until they don't, I got Michigan in this one. Go Blue.
What do you think, Sean?
We all know the controversy that's going on right now with Michigan. I think Drew Allard learned a lot from that Ohio State game. I'm going Penn State, boys, and I think they're winning outright.
Sean, I actually kind of agree with you here. There's one of two ways that this Michigan season is going to go. Either things become a distraction and they start to suffer, or they rally around it and they achieve anyway. But at Penn State, Manny Diaz defense, I don't know. I'm leaning with Sean, thinking maybe upset alert.
Wow. All right. The boys pick Penn State. Moving on to our next game. You know what? I want to do this real quick, not to hold up too much of the proceedings, but it'd be fun to see if we can figure out what the rivalries are for those games.
Is this the deep South adjacent South state school second oldest rivalry?
Say that one more time.
The old South adjacent deep South state school second oldest rivalry.
Yeah, something like that. No, this is not deemed a rivalry game according to my Wikipedia site here. But we
That
have
is surprising.
Ole Miss traveling to Athens, Georgia to take on the Bulldogs. I guess the number 2 rated Bulldogs. So we've got Georgia favored by 10.5 points. Freed, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I guess with Alabama in between them, they just kind of Mississippi and Georgia just take it all out on Alabama. I got Georgia. I feel like no matter what I do in an Ole Miss matchup, the opposite happens. You never know what you're going to get, but Georgia's just too good.
Sean?
I gotta agree with my boy the Freed on this one. I just think we know Ole Miss can score points, but I just haven't seen a defense like Georgia's yet. And I think Georgia's going to take it to them.
All right. Boys, I hate to disagree. Whenever I have the opportunity to hop aboard the Lane Train Express, I am all aboard, and you already know it, baby. Choo choo! Lane Train and the Egg Bowls gonna get this one, or at least covering this one.
Fair enough. How about another SEC matchup? We got Tennessee, who's a road favorite by 1 point at Missouri. Sean, you want to start up here?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys were, I was going back and forth for a long time on this one, and I'm still kind of back in my mind. But you know what? I'm going Mizzou. Tennessee, Joe Milton, maybe the most talented quarterback in college football. It just, once you think he's there, he has a lackluster game. Mizzou's battle tested. I'm going Mizzou.
Wow. Interesting. I don't have any real insight on this one. I'm just picking it off just because I'm friends with a bartender who lives around here who's a big Tennessee Vols fan. So I always root for Walker's happiness. So Rocky Top, baby. Go Vols.
When I think about Missouri, I can't help but think about Jake Garcia. How would this year have played out if he stuck around and he ended up being Miami's starter?
What if Malik Rozier was
in one?
Never mind.
Hey, but Tennessee's got a former Miami transfer too. Left tackle John Campbell starting for Tennessee. I'm sticking with Sean though. I'm on the same page with him. I think Missouri gets this win at home.
Is Joe Milton playing?
I don't know. I haven't really been following along. Is there injury news on him?
There may be.
He's just been.
It's not gonna sway my opinion either way. I'm taking Mizzou, but
yeah, I didn't know he was hurt, but he's been pretty mediocre. I mean, he can throw the ball 80 yards all he wants, but you gotta make your reads and you gotta be accurate.
No doubt.
So that's a Tyler Van Dyke. All right, boys, we have reached the bottom of the barrel, the bottom of the kombucha bottle, and also time to scrape the bottom of the college football barrel to get all that nice, tasty sediment right out from the bottom. In this matchup, we have Texas State, big winners against Baylor earlier this year, taking on the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Texas State favored by 1.5 points here, boys. Freed, who you got in this one? Oh, he's drinking it.
Finishing my dregs. A lot of sediment in this one. Super gingery. One of my favorite parts of the Booch. Always the sediment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Coastal Carolina, they're just not the same without, Jamie Chadwick, something like that. They're not the same without him. Gonna stick with my Texas boys. San Marcos, like I've said on Booch Ball before, we go there every year on Christmas for a bloomin' onion. San Marcos, not Texas State.
Got it.
Outback, obviously. Texas State to cover.
There's no other place to do it. All right, Freed's got Texas State. What about you, Sean?
I got to go against my boy Freed on this one. I'm going Coastal Carolina at home on that. Is it teal turf?
Teal turf. Old school,
yeah,
Marlin style.
I'm going teal turf.
I like the way you think. I'm teal turfing it as well, Sean. I got the Chanticleers, baby. Just because Coastal Carolina really just had that, had a little stretch.
Oh, yeah.
And now, once you have those little kind of gimmick stadiums, like if you just have like a little 3-year stretch of being decent, like all of a sudden, like everybody knows who you are.
What was
Everyone
it?
will
I know
always
you
know
guys.
Boise.
They had the
I know
James
you guys have
Chadwell
been.
triple option going, the modern triple option, the teal turf, the mullets. What's not to love?
Coastal Carolina, I looked at it earlier, did a little analyzing. They've won 4 straight, so they're playing good ball.
They're also due for they're due. They're overdue.
They also won
Come back down
the
to earth.
baseball championship like 6-7 years ago, didn't they? 2016.
Oh,
or something?
they do always have a very good baseball program.
Speaking of mullets and things like that. All right, boys. Very good. The picks are in, but there's one. Well, this is the penultimate pick if you think about it. It's the rivalry week pick, the Florida State hate week pick. Miami at Florida State. Free, do you have the numbers on this one?
It opened as a 14-point spread. I saw it got up to 14.5. I don't know where it's at today, but that was as of last night. But yeah, we really need the tiebreaker today because Alex, you and I picked fully opposite. And as everyone knows at this point, I've been wrong on my score prediction for Miami 5 weeks in a row now. So I do still have a glimmer of hope. I really do. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. It could legitimately be any of the 3 guys or some combination of which. If I had it my way, we come out with Jakari Brown, run the ball, hit a couple of deep bombs with the play action, and then mix in one of the other 2 quarterbacks. We should have been mixing in 11 much earlier in the season, in my
There's
opinion.
no way we're going to trot out Jakari Brown as the starter.
Hey, that's what I would like to see. But
are there any murmurs of them pivoting from Van Dyke?
So
there's murmurs, yeah, but not to Jakari. I feel like I got the feeling.
Mario's press conference yesterday, he did not commit to a starter. So I think the stage is set for them to make a change. If they don't make a change, he's going to be pulled after a mistake. And in my opinion, you don't send a QB out there knowing that he's going to be pulled after a mistake. You're better off to just start somebody else. I mean, he's been so bad. I love the guy. I mean, I respect Tyler Van Dyke and what he's done, but it's time to hit the portal for your senior year, buddy. It's over.
Yeah.
That being
and
said,
they just don't want to do that to Emory. They don't want to like put him in that position of just getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, but you can't put the rest of the team in that position to get the shit kicked out of them because you're starting a guy who throws 3 picks a game. So I think there's a chance Miami figures it out. There's also a chance that they don't figure it out. But if Miami can win the turnover battle, it's going to be a close game. If they don't win the turnover battle, it's going to get ugly quick. I think it's going to be close. I think Florida State wins. I'm going to say 28-20.
Okay. I'm similar ballpark there, Freed. I just went with the nice classic reverse score. I went with the 31-13 Florida State.
That is exactly, you read my mind, Alex.
Hell yeah, brother.
I was going with the same exact score.
I could feel it. I could just sense it in the air.
Same exact score, so now I need to change it, and I'm going to go 33-13.
Well, look at you. I mean, if it ain't broke.
I just don't. I mean, unless Miami turns the ball over and does the same shit they always do, I don't see Florida State getting that many points. But as we know, Miami is prone to doing that exact thing. So
it's true.
We'll find out. We will find out. Sean, I wish you luck. Not that much luck, but I do hope that. I hate to say this, but you know what? If you guys beat Miami, run the table, win the ACC, obviously you're going to make the playoffs. Will I root for you? Probably not, but you will be representing the ACC. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Freed. As you know, you're a good friend and everything like that, but I wish you nothing but the worst come Saturday afternoon.
I don't want it no other way. Before we head off here on Booch Ball, we got one more thing on the agenda. It's time to rescore the GT's Ginger Ale.
That's true. We've all agreed that Florida State is going to win this week. Let's see if we can all agree as to the flavor profile and complexity of the GT Ginger Ale. Boys, I can't remember what I gave this originally for my score, but with the GT's Ginger Ale, It's the problem is that they're competing against themselves. It's kind of like the ACC cannibalizing each other. The GT's trilogy is just so much better than the GT Ginger Ale. It really kind of takes the allure away from it. And for that reason, I cannot in good conscience give this a would recommend level. I would give it a 6.9, which means I would buy it. But if I was to recommend, I would recommend the GT trilogy over it. So an incredibly solid Booch, but it's not going to get my it's not on the top level of my recommendation. For that reason, it's a 6.9.
That's interesting. It's a fair take. I don't fully agree that the trilogy is just straight up better. The trilogy is a lot harder, and sometimes GTs can be a little bit strongly tart and strongly sweet. This one is much more akin to the Health Aid Ginger Lemon, which obviously is, Alex, one of your favorites, and I've come to really enjoy as well. This ginger ale, I would most certainly recommend. It's such a great entry level booch for somebody who's kind of a ginger fan, a spicy boy in the making. I'm happy with this. I'm going to go 7.5.
Very good. Sean, your thoughts?
I'm going to split it, boys. I'm going to go right in between, about a 7.2. Would not recommend to anyone that is opposed to ginger, but for those that like ginger and like the little bite that ginger brings to the table, I recommend it. It's not at the top of the GT list for me, but it's up there, and I will occasionally buy a ginger ale.
There you go. It's in the running. All right. You might have already done the ETF 5-bot's job for us, but ETF 5-bot, what do you say? Go ahead and calculate the final score.
Beep, boop, 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 beep, boop, boop. ETF 5-bot is right there with the scene, 7.2.
Which is our exact score.
That is the exact score we gave it the first time around. Let's take a trip down memory lane.
I go with the AI thought process, gentlemen.
What was it scored? So, interesting. The first time we did it, I actually was more bearish. I was 6.8. You gave it a 7.0. And our guest, the Honorable Matthew Ghazi, with the 7.8, brought it all the way up.
Really brought it up. That's interesting. But I was within 0.1 of my original score. I had a feeling I had given it exactly a 7. Which is why I wanted to take it away, because it's any given Booch ball, boys. We say it every week.
I think in my older years, I've started to get a little bit more friendly on the Booch scale. I think in the first couple seasons, I was being a little harsh, waiting for something amazing to come along. Mm-hmm. And as I've circled back, I found that a lot of those first kombuchas that we were hitting really were kind of at the top of the line. And I've bumped up their scores accordingly.
You never forget your first, Freed. Sean, thank you for joining us here on Booch Ball. Boochies, we love you. Thank you for joining us. Sean, is there anywhere that you want people to follow you, or you just kind of just leave us, leave it where you're at?
Just like the no video, I'm off the grid.
Yeah, good for you.
Hopefully will make my way back on here if I have the opportunity. But to all my fellow Boochies out there, keep supporting these guys and keep enjoying the kombucha and the college football.
And as always,
stay cultured. Peace. We'll see you in the chat, Sean.